Hello, welcome back to the Drafting Diaries. I had been in a little bit of a writing slump, okay? I was getting to the point where I'm like, I don't know what to consume first, when I should write, if I should read more, if I should do more research before I continue. I don't want to be too structured because I want to be able to have inspiration hit at times and be able to write and change things and not have everything fully thought out while I'm doing my first draft. So if you're new here, I'm writing a fantasy book and the main character's name is Paige, and she finds this portal, or the portal finds her, and she ends up being on the other side of the veil, which is the magic side of her society. Where she's from is a completely technology-based society where they've took cyberocracy and upped it, okay? And now she's on the other side of the veil, which is more magic-based, and she is trying to understand why she's there. This is after the fallout of a war that had happened between the two sides. So, stories about fate, purpose, what you do with it, how people can understand their past to propel their future. Yeah, I can't do it justice in like a couple seconds. So, I don't know why, but like inspiration kind of hit me one night and I started reading the two books I always kind of go to for reference, which I've mentioned in my other videos, which is the Lexicon Earthis, and then Worlds of Dune, which is up there and I don't want to get it. I was reading what inspired these authors to write their book, and when I was reading the Worlds of Dune, it had mentioned that Frank Herbert had gotten his inspiration when it came to the technology and the no-tech society that he made from this book called Erewhon, or he might have gotten it from Erewhon. I don't know if it's confirmed. And so I was like, ooh, I need to read this because that is kind of where I was going to, where it's a techless society on the other side, and maybe I can learn something from reading it. So I picked it up. It was made in the 1920s, I believe. I think it has a lot of themes about colonialism. I've just started it, so I'm still trying to feel it out and see what I feel about it. But it's also called like Over the Range. I started reading that as my homework, and I also want to pick up 2 dictionaries that were mentioned in this book, which Gene Wolfe used to write his book of the New Sun. He says that like a lot of people asked him where he got these words from and why can't they even find it in their dictionary. And I just love that. I love that so much that I really want to pick up these dictionaries and find words that were popular at a different time. Because if I'm writing a story and I'm in a world that is similar and also completely dissimilar to ours, there should be different sort of language being used, at least a little bit. But yeah, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to a cafe and I'm just going to rehaul my character cards. I think I use Milanote, and so I think I'm going to go on Milanote and try and dive deeper into my characters, specifically the ones that I really know their motivations and their purpose in my plot, as well as maybe just getting some more writing done. I take it very slowly with writing. I'm like on chapter 5, okay? Like I take it slow, but it's my first draft. So yeah, so I'm just gonna head to the cafe, which is gonna be the same cafe I've been going to in my other writing vlogs. Yeah, hopefully this inspires you in some way to not be in a writing slump. I'll see you there. Hello guys, hopefully you can hear me. I'm at the cafe and I'm just going to be drawing some sketches of my characters and putting them into Milano, which this is what I have so far of like really old art. Please ignore. I have like my character cards here. I don't like the picture I have for Syrian. That's very old art that I'm gonna get rid of. I'm going to draw sketches for just a bunch of them that is just really fast, and then start making their character cards and writing a little bit about them, their characteristics, a little bit of their backstory, just so that I can reference it as I write, so I have in mind what's important about these characters. Okay. Hey guys, I'm back from the cafe. I got some pretty good work done. I really got locked into drawing just like character cards of my characters, and I kind of just did that for a couple of hours. To start off, I drew one of my characters named Estelle. She is the main male character's sister, and I feel like I kind of captured her she's kind of witty. I don't know how to explain it, and brutally honest. And I think she's honestly probably my favorite character aside from my main character. As I was drawing them and I was just listening to music that I felt like aligned with them, for her, it was Maisie Star's She's My Baby. She's definitely a character that provides the main character a lot of perspective. And then I drew Syrian, the main male character. I finally feel like I hit it on the nose with how I feel like his essence is. You know, you guys have seen my concept art of him, and I've just been playing around with it, but this felt right, like what I drew today. I feel like I really captured his solemnness and his coldness. He's so pale and almost sad and somber. I feel like drawing that, I think I really did it justice, you know? It's like that's the Syrian that I write about, not just the character that's in my head, but that's what he is on the page. And he's a character that very religious. He believes that he's kind of been cursed or has done something wrong in his life and that he has to pay for it, as well as not really realizing how much people rely on him. I think he's just a character that truly has to find himself through the story, and him and the main character, they really hold a mirror to each other's face. I feel like because they're so different. That's his character. This is what I drew for him. And then lastly, I drew Syrian's brother, which is the Duke. He's very much more rigid and assumes he knows things, but really there's things that slip right under his nose. He will have to pay the price for things. This is what I drew for them, and I feel like you could tell their personality through the art. Drawing my characters had made me think so much more about them and how their inner personality and who they are at their core will come out through what they look like visibly. Yeah, things are subject to change. I definitely might add or change things. I don't know. Doing the right horns for the character mattered. It's all in their shape language. Their shape language is their personality. It is the language of them in this book. Everything manifests itself outwardly, and I just wanted to capture that. If you like my art style or you want to see your characters in my art style, if you want to commission me, by all means check out my Instagram or just click the link below. I have it in my description. So on that note, I'm gonna go do my commissions and take a break for maybe a couple hours, and maybe I'll get to writing tonight. So I'll see you guys. Bye. Hi, I'm here again at the same exact cafe. I've written quite a bit more of my draft. I'm at the point where I'm finally introducing my favorite character. I feel like my writing constantly elevates itself. The story and the plot just keeps thickening. Every single page there's just something that continues and you have to be like, okay, we're getting into the meat and bones of the story here. And I hate too much exposition. So I'm trying to make my exposition and her travel and journey to the main area of the plot to be not too short, where it feels like it's not paced well enough. But I feel like that's just might be something I deal with later. I'm completely going to be changing over my entire beginning of my story. I know how I want to begin my story, and it is not what I have down on paper right now. But I think I'm going to do that in draft 2, because I'm going to open it up with something way more hooking. I know exactly what to do, so it might change up my story a little bit. But I do want there to be enough exposition so that the readers really care about the stakes and the characters, even on the human side of the veil. But anyway, I'm gonna get to writing some more, but I did draw some more art. This is not art that is official by any means. None of my art is like official by any means. It is really just like concepts and ideas. A lot of it is not even finished, y'all. Okay, the art is not finished. This is what I was working on right now. It's not done. I don't know if it'll be done by the time I post this. Maybe it'll be done. But I just wanted an idea of like where the castle is, where our main area is, and where the city and the town is. I always kind of pictured it next to water. So this is kind of what you're reading. I'm not great at landscapes. Like, landscapes are not my bread and butter, but I really do want to just continue obviously learning with art and challenging myself. And I feel like challenging myself within my book is rewarding to me. So that's what I've been doing. Yes, the plot is thickening, the story is going. I'm actually in the flow with things. So I'm just gonna work more at this cafe. I'm sorry that I have no other cute cafe visuals to give you. It's just this one. And I'll update you guys on my journey to finding the 2 books I had mentioned. It's getting a little difficult to find, but I'll update you later. So let's get to work. Hello y'all, I am on chapter 5, which is not far, but I'm a very slow writer, and I don't know if you guys have advice. Let me know how you continue to write consistently. It's not that I don't have inspiration, it's that I want to make sure I'm doing the best I can be putting out creatively as I write, and sometimes I feel like it comes to me before I write that next sequence, and I feel like I've been able to write a version of my story right now that is authentic to my thought process because I've been going slow, but I do feel like I can get into the headspace more often. But what's been helping me is your guys' really nice comments. Yeah, right now I've gotten some good writing done. I feel like I've gotten some good progress done, and I think I'm gonna leave this here for tonight. It's like 12 a.m. now, so I'll see you guys in the morning. Bye! Hey everyone, I was just thinking about this conversation I had with my friend the other day. Hey, Haley, if you're watching this. And she brought it kind of to my attention that I don't really read any modern fantasy, which sounds a little crazy. And it's not really like I have anything against modern fantasy. I don't at all. I only really read like romance heavy fantasy. Like, I've read Touch of Darkness series and I really like that series. When it comes to like epic fantasy, so far, I don't feel like I've found something that has scratched that itch for me. Like, I really want some suggestions, but then again, I'm also thinking, should I not read anything modern fantasy and see where my brain takes me without consuming modern epic fantasy and not knowing what is the vibes as of late. I did read ACOTAR years ago, and I think it was that romance plot that kept me so entertained in it and not so much its fantasy plot. I have only really read fantasy that is from like 2000s and previous, nothing past the 2000s. And honestly, I know I'm missing out on some great books, but I definitely have tried and it just hasn't hit some sort of itch that I have when it comes to my fantasy. There's something about writers or maybe publishing back in the day that really grasped me. And I think some people have conversations about how publishing and like the bar for publishing is very different in what they're looking for and what they will promote. But it got me thinking about, who are your writers' favorite writers, or who are your writers' favorite inspirations for their writing? And I don't just mean other writer inspirations, but what systems did they pull from to build the systems in their world? I think I just want to stay in the vein, maybe until I'm done like my first draft or something, of just not reading any modern fantasy and seeing where my knowledge of fantasy, which is 80s, 90s, to see where my knowledge of sci-fi and fantasy takes me with this. But I feel like searching for inspiration is even more than just the books you're reading from your favorite authors, but knowing where their inspiration came from and how it was sourced and what did they take from it. That's why I've been talking about those two books I've been reading, the Worlds of Dune and Lexicon Earthis, to find that inspiration. It's like, I want to know. I don't know when it ever feels like enough knowledge. This archetype of person that always thirsts for knowledge and is always very open to any sort of knowledge from any sort of expert, and always having curiosity and having interest is something that you can't lose as a writer. At the end of the day, we mimic what we consume, and if we have a vast knowledge on things, I think that just opens the creativity brain up so wide. A part of me, like, I really care a lot. I care about how my prose and my line by line writing will come up, because I'm scared that won't be my strongest, and I want that to be strong because I admire that so deeply in the writing that I read. Oh, sorry, you guys can see the Animal Crossing characters in the background. Don't mind them. I have my Animal Crossing ambiance in the background always. I think I'm just putting this out there so that you as a writer remember and get curious just about everything. Go into a deep dive, just learn to also make a compelling character. I find that I need to ask the philosophical questions that my character would ask. Like, what is her world framing? Are they going to have a sense of nihilism? Are they going to feel like they have purpose? What do they feel like their purpose is? Do they get existential? What does their existentialism look like? Every question, because and sometimes I feel like I don't know the answer to the character until I continue to write them and continue to know them through the story. I just find it interesting that us as humans can present humans like hopefully accurately, and when it is done accurately, your audience can tell. I think that it causes a lot of looking in and a lot of looking around to understand that. And it's just, I just don't know, when does that knowledge ever, there's no cap to that knowledge. So how can you learn enough to make it so compelling in the book that you're writing? That is what I'm trying to deal with, and it's something that is in the back of my mind, but I'm just trying to still have grace with myself that I'm not gonna write perfectly in my first draft. My characters may not always be consistent. It's gonna have imperfections. That is being human. I want to thank you guys for watching my other videos and going along the journey with me. I feel like it's not even just a journey of writing, but a journey of learning for myself. I don't want to put a book out there that I'm not completely happy with when I have the means of making it as great as I can. And maybe I'll find that I feel like I don't have the means, I don't have enough knowledge, but then there's always going to be another opportunity to try again. But I don't know, maybe you guys can relate to this, or you have some sort of answer as to what is it about older sci-fi and fantasy that just hits different for you, if it hits different for you. And I'm not really talking about romantasy. I love that romantasy combines romance and fantasy because I freaking love both of those. I never thought of myself in the older version of myself, the adult version of myself, as a writer, as someone who has the capability of being an author or being able to write something compelling. I really realized it began when I was a kid, when I knew I was not great at spelling or grammar, okay? These things, I don't know if it was ADHD, I don't know what it was, but I just was not good at these things. But the one thing that set me apart when it came to writing was my ideas. I had ideas. And I feel like I've mentioned this story maybe here before, but one time my 5th or 6th grade teacher didn't believe I wrote the story that I wrote. She thought my family helped me, someone else had to have written it for me. And I used technology, I used my iPad to be able to correct my grammar and my spelling, and they didn't believe that I wrote the story, so I had to write a new one. And the thing is, my child mind had such a great concept for writing a new story, and I knew then that I wanted to do something creative. Being a writer, I would write little stories on my notes about my sister. That was so fun to me, being creative and being able to come up with your own world. You can't lose that childlike energy that you had if you were like that, you know, as a kid. And I think after that, I felt kind of discouraged, and I knew that my grammar, my spelling was never up to par. So I never thought that I could ever be an author or writer, because author and writers, of course, have to be good at that sort of thing. But in reality, you got people that help you. You got editors and people that can, you know, tell you, hey, this sentence doesn't make sense. But if you have an idea, that's all it takes, okay? And willpower and learning, you know? I'm just happy that I'm able to do this and that you guys saw my story concept, you know, in the first video I made about this. And we're so sweet, and all your comments were so sweet about my story and saying how, you know, it was an interesting idea. And that's all I need. That encouragement means so much to me. I just want to put in as much time, energy, and work into this story. And if that means writing it slowly, or if that means being meticulous about my process, or doing 50 freaking drafts of it, that's what it's gonna be. I owe it to myself. I owe it to myself to produce something that I'm happy with and that I felt honored the characters that I'm writing about. As for the book, I requested from the library. It is being shipped to another library so that I can pick it up. The other book, the synonyms book, that one I could not find at the library. So I need to buy that book or order it or something. But I can't wait to open those two books, the synonym book and then the book about uncommon words, and just crack it open and find things that will inspire me. You know, a word can literally inspire a scene, okay? A line can inspire a crazy drawing. You never know. Yeah, so I'll see you guys soon.